Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I recently did a video talking about the inconsistencies in what I believe to be somewhat lies in the interviews given by Madeline Soto's mother, Jennifer. And it was my most viewed video on my channel. If you watched it, I thank you. If you didn't, you might want to go back and watch it first, because it will help this video make more sense. In that video, I said I wouldn't point out all the problems I saw in her interviews, because it would take forever, because there were so many. But I do want to point out some of what I took, not only from her interviews, but also from the press conferences given by police. Because I can't believe we haven't seen Madeline's mom in handcuffs yet. And frankly, I'm tired of sitting around, bouncing like an anxious fool like she does in her interviews, waiting for it to happen. I know. Excessive shaking and bouncing and the inability to sit still calmly without self-soothing isn't necessarily an indication of any sort of guilt, and could just be the result of an overly worried, unemotional parent whose child disappeared. I mean, it did give her something to do with her legs, other than to use them to go out and look for Maddie. So, who am I? I'm just a YouTuber with an opinion. And as I've said numerous times before, I don't know nothing about nothing. I just pay attention, pick up on things like patterns, and read between the lines of things people say. And I've paid a lot of attention to this case. And because police held a press conference to update the public on the state of their investigation, they gave the public exactly no new updates on the case at all. And we aren't hearing about any charges other than Madeline's mom's boyfriend, Stephen Stern's 60 charges for being a sick, twisted POS. I figured it was time for me to put this case under a microscope, take a good, close look, and share what I see with you. Of course, all parties involved are considered innocent until proven guilty. And this video is just filled with my opinions and my opinions alone, which in a court of law, or frankly anywhere else, mean absolutely nothing. But to me, they mean everything. Because Madeline Soto deserves justice. And I'm sure you as well, want to see her get it. And in my opinion, there's a hell of a lot more guilt going on in her case than innocence. Now, remember, we don't have all the facts yet. Police have even said there's much more evidence that hasn't been released to the public during their press conferences. That's a given. But in their latest press conference, they made it very clear that all persons close to Madeline Soto are still considered to be suspects, including Jennifer Soto. Which has left us with many questions. But have we been asking the right ones? Looking back on what we were told, knowing what we know now, has caused some of my questions to change, and has made me realize that some of the answers to my questions were there all along. And I could be completely wrong. Lord knows it wouldn't be the first time. But I just thought I'd share some of my thoughts on this case that now make sense to me, and maybe they will to you too. If not, that's okay too. All I ask is that we keep the comments respectful and always agree to disagree. Because we may not learn any portion of the truth until the case goes to trial. Or maybe we'll get some more information if Stefan's trial for his 60 counts of being a POS actually takes place on May 13th of 2024 as scheduled. But he hasn't been charged with Madeline's murder. Nobody has yet. So, we have no idea what we'll find out. And until we're given more information, we're left with our own theories and our own thoughts about what happened, based on what we've been told so far and what our gut instincts are telling us. And as I dive deeper into this case, this is what my gut is telling me. We all know the horrific details surrounding the 60 charges against Stephen Stearns, involving the disgusting illegal videos and images found on his phone. If you don't know, then you can look it up to find out. But I won't be going into it in this video, even though they do bear on what I believe happened. We all know it led to his arrest, and we all know he's a sick freak. And we've heard how long police say it went on. In my opinion, there's no way in hell Madeline's mother didn't know what her boyfriend was doing to her daughter. Yes, right out of the gate. We're going to have to agree to disagree. And if you disagree with me, I respect that. We all have different reasons why we believe what we believe. Hell, I'll even meet you halfway and say that maybe she didn't know how long it had been going on. But, in my opinion, she knew. Now, I know we've heard that Maddie had a friend that said she told her mother what Stefan was doing to her, but we don't have any proof of that. And because I realize that this subject matter is very sensitive and it draws different emotions out of all of us, I'm going to leave it at that. But I believe she knew. Which explains to me, partially, why we see such an emotionless disconnect from her daughter throughout her interviews. If you watched them, you saw the complete lack of emotion she displayed. The fake crying performance with no tears, the smiling when the bird starts talking, and then the getting back to sad face when it stops and she needs to talk about Madeline again. We all saw it. There was nothing normal about it, nothing natural about it. And to answer the heartbreaking questions she was answering only 24 hours after her child went missing with no real reaction or emotion tells me that she disconnected from feeling anything for her daughter long ago. Disagree with me? That's fine. I respect that. But then maybe you can explain to me why she couldn't answer a question as simple as whether or not Maddie would be able to get home if she could get an Uber or a ride. I mean, she didn't know. Geez, she guesses if she could point to the streets or something, maybe she could. But other than that, she doesn't have a damn clue. And gosh, she doesn't think Maddie knows her address either, even though she's 13.
She knows how to get home by herself, as if, like, let's just say, to take a bus or an Uber or something like that. She would know how to get home alone, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't know if she would know how to get home. Maybe, I mean, if someone, I'm thinking if someone got in the car with her and if she pointed the way, what roads, she probably could figure out how to get, but like, does she know her full address? I don't think she does.
Which would give me it just puts in my brain that she always comes home with someone.
She always comes home with me.
There's no need for her to really learn. Okay.
I wonder what age she considers an appropriate age to teach your child where he or she lives. You know, their address. I mean, what if your child gets lost? How will he or she tell someone where they live so they can get home? You know what? That's neither here nor there, I guess. Because the very next thing the interviewer says to her is that puts in his brain that she always comes home with somebody. And she jumps right on that and says, she always comes home with me. And if you listen closely, the interviewer says, so there's no need for her to learn. And before he even finishes his sentence, Jen cuts in and says, exactly. Yeah, her daughter doesn't need to know. Maybe because she's not going to live there long anyway. And her little shoulder shrug as she realized she made her point that Maddie gets picked up so she doesn't need to know how to get home. Yeah, the arrogance washed over her. See? It doesn't matter. So, why did you ask such a stupid question? Think I'm being petty? That's okay. 'Cause I'm about to get real petty now. So, you might want to strap in. Did you catch the part where the interviewer asked her what Madeline was wearing? You know, a typical question a parent of a missing child would be asked. Yeah, she did a nice big gulp and said she was last seen wearing. She was last seen wearing. What parent of a missing child would talk like that? She was last seen wearing? Isn't that something the police would say? Or something you'd read on a missing poster? Not something you'd expect to hear from a parent who told police she saw her daughter getting dressed for school the day she went missing. I mean, that sounds a little disconnected to me. Because she did write a sworn statement, according to police, that she saw Madeline getting dressed for school around 8 a.m. on the morning she disappeared. So, I'd expect to hear her say something like, she was wearing, or, when I saw her, she was wearing. But no, we got, she was last seen wearing.
What was she wearing?
She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it. That's about it.
Now, I'm going to cut Jen a break here and tell you that I believe her. I actually do. Not that she saw Maddie getting dressed at 8 a.m., no. But I do believe she saw her getting dressed at some point, either late the night before or in the very early morning hours of February 26th. Why? Because right after she says she was last seen wearing, her eyes float up as if she goes into recall mode, and they stay there the whole time she describes the clothing and shoes she dressed Maddie in, as if she's replaying the entire scene in her mind. Yes, you heard me right. Because there's no way you're going to need to think about what your missing child was wearing when he or she disappeared 24 hours later. After that's one of the absolute main questions you've already been asked and answered at least 100 times. To police, to searchers, to your family, to everyone you've reached out to people making flyers, to friends on social media, for social media posts, to people at her school, to interviewers sharing out the story. By the time she did her interviews, almost 24 hours after she reported Maddie missing, she was already asked what Maddie was wearing and where she was last seen hundreds of times. I guarantee it. Don't tell me she had to think about it. That one I won't meet you halfway on. Sorry. And why didn't Jen go to Madeline's birthday party on Sunday? Oh, wait. She had to work. That's right. My bad. I would just think that she'd want to be at her daughter's birthday party. You know, since her whole family was going to be there, and her friends were going to be there. And she only has a birthday once a year. But hey, sometimes you gotta work, and you can't get the day off, right? But why wouldn't her family have the party then on a day that Jen was off work so she could attend? I mean, it was a pretty important birthday, right? Madeline turning 13. She became a teenager. Seems pretty odd to me that they wouldn't plan it on a day that Jen could be there to celebrate her daughter too. Even if it was a week or two before or after. And I'm curious, they had to have it on a day Jen had to work. Why not start it a little early so she could at least attend for an hour or two? Seems to me that could have been worked out relatively easily. But whatever. She just couldn't make it. Gotta work. Sorry. Even though Madeline's birthday was actually the Thursday before the party on February 22nd, giving them, Thursday, Friday, Saturday as options to have a party that Jen could maybe attend. But maybe she was just too busy, huh? Or maybe she was just too disconnected to care. I mean, if I knew my boyfriend was probably only with me for my daughter and I resented her for it, I can imagine I probably wouldn't be rushing to celebrate her either. But we don't know. Even though she never mentioned it, maybe she celebrated with Maddie on her actual birthday. And maybe Stefan celebrated with them too. And maybe he gave Madeline a really nice gift. A much nicer gift than he had ever given to Jen. Maybe jewelry, maybe a little diamond on a necklace, maybe a little ring, maybe something Jen's been waiting for a long time. Who knows? But I think we all know that gifts are part of the grooming process, right? And we all know what Stefan was arrested for. So if he was continuing to groom Maddie to stay in her good graces and to keep her quiet, I would imagine he was going to need to start stepping up those gifts, since she was getting older and she was no longer a small child. Now, I don't have any proof Stefan bought Maddie anything at all. But if he did buy her something really nice for her birthday, I could see that grinding Jen real good and sending her jealousy through the roof. Again, just my opinion. And as much as I shudder to think, what if Maddie started her menstrual cycle and Jen was monitoring it to make sure she got it every month? And what if she didn't last month? We've all heard the speculation about that online as well. What if there is something to it? Only Maddie and Jen would know if Jen had her take a pregnancy test and it came back positive. I hope and pray to God that's not the case. But we certainly haven't heard a word about any test results after Maddie was found. And police said in their latest press conference that they're still waiting for the report from the medical examiner. But that would be another reason to make Maddie disappear, wouldn't it? Especially if you didn't think she'd ever be found. Then who would ever know? But if that was the case, wouldn't only Madeline and Jen know first, before Stefan? How would Stefan know unless he was told? He wouldn't. Not unless one of them told him. But my mind doesn't want to go down that dark road, and my gut's not telling me that's the case. So I'm not going to entertain that at this point. If it ends up being the case, I'm sure we'll find out. Right now, my gut is telling me that Jen was disconnected from Maddie because she knew Stefan, the man she loved, probably only faked wanting to be with her to gain access to her daughter. And it went on for years. And she was never number one in his life. Again, just my opinion. And I feel that she openly displays her disconnect from Maddie throughout her interviews, not thinking anyone would pick up on it, put it together, and piece together her relationship, or non-relationship, with her own daughter. And frankly, I don't think she really cares what anybody thinks, any more than she cared about her own daughter.
That she spent the whole Sunday celebrating her 13th birthday. Was her 13th birthday on that Sunday, or that was just like the time you guys were celebrating?
That was the time we were celebrating. Her birthday was on Thursday, the 22nd.
Okay,
She just turned 13.
But that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday, and then the very next day, that's
gone.
the last you've seen of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad she's gone, yeah. Not that she's missing. Not that she just disappeared. She's gone. Yeah, too bad. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not a detective. And I'm not a body language expert or anything like that. But I pay attention and I recognize patterns. And I always find it so fascinating how different people all show the same patterns in specific situations. And one of my favorites to look for when a child goes missing, and the last person to see him or her is a parent, is the oversell, because you see it so often. The parent tries to oversell how happy the child was just prior to disappearing. They were having the best day. Their home life was just butterflies and rainbows, and they have no idea what could have possibly happened. We saw it in the Chris Watts case, where he sold us what a great day his girls had at a birthday party, and then eating pizza and video calling with their grandparents before they disappeared, along with their pregnant mother the next day, and were found deceased in horrific ways days later. We saw it in the Gannon Stout case, where his father was out of town, and his step psycho tried to convince the world that Gannon went off to play with a friend in his neighborhood, right before we found out that never actually happened, and his body was eventually found in a suitcase under a bridge in Florida. And boy, do we get it in precious Madeline's case. Mom can't sell how happy Maddie was the day before she was reported missing. Hard enough.
On Sunday, she celebrated her 13th birthday with my entire family, and she had the best day. She was so happy. She showed us all her gifts. Um, she's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, she had the best day.
Wow. It's a good thing Maddie even showed how happy she was, you know? And I really hope Maddie did have an extremely happy day, because she deserved that. But I wonder, when Jen said it was too bad that Maddie was gone just one day after her party, I wonder why we didn't hear her say anything like, God, I wish I'd been there to spend every minute with her that I could have before she was just gone. Or, it kills me that I wasn't there at the party with her to celebrate her now that she's gone. Or even, now I regret working instead of being there with my baby girl, spending the day with her, celebrating her, hugging her, laughing with her. Gosh, I would think that would tear a parent up, regretting that they missed the chance to spend every moment with their child that they could, now that their child is missing. But I didn't hear anything like that from Jen Soto. Did you? Maybe it was edited out, huh? You know, for time or something. And I also have to wonder why it was so important for Jen to sell how happy Maddie's last day on this earth was anyway, since she had already stated that she believed Madeline had been abducted against her will. No offense, but why would it matter how happy, sad, excited, miserable her child was before she was abducted? If she was abducted, she was abducted. So no need to sell how happy she was the day before. They're not suggesting that maybe she ran away, and neither are you. So saying how happy she was the day before has nothing to do with an abduction a day later. She could have fought like hell with Maddie the day before she disappeared, and it would have zero bearing on the fact that that child was abducted on her way to school. An abduction is an abduction, period. So rather than selling us her butterfly and rainbows home life, filled with presents and displays of happiness, I would think a real mom who loved her daughter and was deeply connected to her would lose her mind when asked if she thought her precious child she loved was taken against her will. I mean, just the thought of it would destroy me. But not Jen. Nah, doesn't bother her in the slightest.
I'm a wreck right now.
So you think that she's been taken against her will?
I do think so, yes.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Looking right at the camera. Because she's not lying. Because she knows that's exactly what happened. But like I said, I could be completely wrong about all of this. Her jealousy of and disconnect from Maddie? Everything. I mean, after all, when she was asked what she thought the viewers needed to know about how she was feeling, or Maddie, she does say that they're desperate for answers. She doesn't say desperate to get Maddie back. And anything we can do to help, geez, she's there for it. Cool. But then she just stops because she can't think of anything else to say. Then she says, if you see her daughter, to please bring her home. And then retracts her lips real quick, as if she can't believe she just said that. Then she goes on with a pathetic, geez, I hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe.
Is there anything that you think our viewers would need to know about the way you're feeling, the way the family's feeling, Madeline?
We are desperate for any answers, anything that you could do to help. I'm here for it. Just please, if you see my daughter, just please bring her home. I just hope you're okay, Maddie. I hope you're safe. I hope you're not hurt.
Interesting. I wonder how safe she would be if she was abducted, like Jen said she believed she was. I wonder how many abducted children are safe, right? I'm telling everyone I think you were abducted, but I sure hope you're safe. Make it make sense, or I will. She spewed all that BS because she didn't know what to say. Because she didn't care enough to even rehearse things to say that would sound normal coming out of a grieving parent, desperately wanting her child back. That's why she comes off as disconnected, emotionless, and uncaring, to say the least. And she did the interviews so she'd have an excuse for why she didn't bother going out to search for Maddie, which she herself admitted she never did.
Where do you go now? Are you gonna go out there and search or look, or what is your? Are you sticking by the phone? Are you know, what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears.
Did you notice that while she was telling her believed to be abducted daughter on television, that she hoped she was safe? That she never told her she loved her? 'Cause I did. Gosh, I'd be screaming into the camera to my child that I loved her and we were searching for her every minute and we weren't going to give up until we found her. But we never even get an I love you to Maddie from Jen. Just a, geez, I hope you're safe out there with your psycho abductor, Maddie. I hope you're having a great time. Hell, you want some real cringe? Why not? It's time to derail this train anyway. Ready? We even got an I love you to Maddie from her POS abuser, Stefan. Even he knew enough to say that to try to sound like he gave a crap. But not Jen.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. She said thanks, love you too. That was it.
But before I derail this train, I'm going to show you one of my favorite Jen clips of all that shows how very, very unprepared she was to play the desperate grieving mother of a missing child. And how very telling I thought her actions were.
Do you have any inkling where she possibly could be? Like if you would say, okay, last time I went to work and came back, she was at James' house or Sabrina's house, and maybe I forgot to check that house, or she played at this park one week and maybe she went back there or something like that.
We've looked everywhere we could have thought, and anywhere she would have been.
Don't even try to say you didn't just watch her collapse under the weight of the question. Do you have any inkling where she possibly could be? She immediately stops her leg bouncing, and her body goes limp, and her shoulders drop, as she looks at the interviewer like, dude, what the F? Then she goes back into bouncing her leg, but this time it's much harder, and you can hear her shoe hitting the floor. And she stares at the interviewer, wondering what the hell she's going to say to that. Because she knows exactly where Maddie is. But she needs to think of an answer quick. Notice she's not quick to answer or jump in and interrupt him on this one. No, she needs to come up with something quick. So she just goes to, they've looked everywhere they could think of, when all she really had to say is, no. But saying no wouldn't be telling the truth. And Jen has a bit of a problem not telling the truth, ironically enough, which is another pattern I noticed. A pattern that would eventually give her away. Because she screwed up and derailed her own train. And as we watched it, we knew her story didn't add up. So we all assumed she was lying about everything, which made nothing she said make any sense, and left us all scratching our heads. But it wasn't just that she lied here and there that made her story derail. It was because she tried to stick to the truth as much as possible. Probably because she figured that would be the easiest way to keep everything straight. But she didn't understand how telling her reactions would be, even if she told the truth. And she dug herself a nice, deep, deep hole that has police saying she's still a suspect, and I believe will ultimately end up leading to her arrest, in my opinion. And here we go. I believe Jen was jealous of Maddie, knew exactly what was happening to her, and knew that Stefan was more than likely only with her to gain access to Maddie. So she resented Maddie, which caused her to disconnect from her completely. She goes through the motions, probably puts on a good show when they're around other people, but otherwise wants nothing to do with her. All she cares about is Stefan. Otherwise, why keep around a loser who has no real job, isn't contributing to lifting up your life or the life of your child, is off and on with her just to have access to Maddie, etc.? They were supposedly together for years, but no marriage. Yet Jen plays house with him and calls him Maddie's stepdad, which he's not. He's her abuser. As long as he pays attention to Jen when he needs something or when it's convenient for him, Jen will take whatever scraps she gets so she can say she has a boyfriend. Not to mention, she'll turn a blind eye when she needs to keep him. But she hates the attention he pays to Maddie. And Lord knows that sick POS may have even talked about twisted things with Jen, about what he wanted with Maddie, and it just drove her to hate her and view Maddie as her competition. So, she shows up to pick her up at school each day, smiles and waves at the other parents, puts on a quick show, and takes her home and probably ignores her and resents her even being there at all. Until her man shows up, and she kisses his ass to try to keep his attention, hoping he won't turn it to Maddie instead. And it goes on, year after year, and nothing changes. Nothing gets better for Jen. No commitment from her man, no engagement, no talk of wedding plans on the horizon. Just him using her, acting like he likes her, just to gain access to her daughter. But she'll put up with it, hoping one day it'll change, and she'll be his number one for everything she's done for him. We all know the type, and if you say you don't, you're lying to yourself, because they're everywhere. So Maddie's 13th birthday is coming up, and she probably wants to have a birthday party with her family and friends. But Jen is disconnected and doesn't care, so she's busy. Sorry, she has to work, can't make it happen. So Maddie's grandmother offers to throw a party at her house that Maddie's family and friends can attend. Maybe even because she knew Jen wasn't going to do a damn thing for Maddie's birthday. So she offered too. And even if Jen resented her offer, what was she going to say that wouldn't give her jealousy of Maddie away? So she says fine. But she won't be attending. she conveniently has to work. And maybe Stefan knew Jen wasn't going to celebrate Maddie's birthday either. So, to stay in Maddie's good graces and keep grooming her, he shows up with a nice gift. Like I said earlier, maybe jewelry, a diamond, a ring. Something Jen would have wanted Stefan to give to her, but he never did. And that gift he gave Maddie just might have been the last straw.
Are you, in a sense, blaming yourself?
It's hard not to.
Or, I haven't yet ruled out that maybe Maddie started her menstrual cycle and Jen thought the abuse would have stopped long before. But it didn't. Maybe it was continuing, and she couldn't risk a pregnancy with Maddie. So, she had to find a solution to her problem, and she had to choose between Maddie and Stefan, which wasn't difficult, since she already resented the hell out of Maddie. And if she was no longer around, Jen would finally be number one in Stefan's life. Kind of solves a number of problems for her, doesn't it? No more jealousy, no more resentment, no more competition. And she gets her man, along with the added bonus of everyone doting on her as a desperate, worried mother who just wants her baby back. Sounds like a win-win to me. So, Maddie will somehow go missing sometime after her birthday party at her grandmother's house because she'll need all those happy photos and her friends and family on her side, happy to have just spent the day with Maddie at her party. And everything will look like rainbows and butterflies on the home front until she mysteriously disappears. So, as much as I hate to say it, I believe she pre-planned it for days after Maddie's actual birthday. But what she didn't plan was how to make herself sound like she was a loving mom and cared about Maddie for the days and weeks following her disappearance. Again, just my opinion. Also my opinion, Stefan didn't know what Jen was planning. So we saw the beautiful photos of Maddie enjoying her birthday party at her grandmother's house on February 25th. And we also know she wasn't found in the clothing she was seen in at the party. So we know a clothing change took place at some point between the party and when Maddie was reported missing. So let's piece it together. I saw people online questioning whether or not Maddie ever made it home from her party or if Jen was actually home with her that evening. Jen said in an interview that Maddie did come home. She showed them all her gifts, and she never saw Maddie on her phone or devices until she went to bed.
She showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, she had the best day. I
So
just, there was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that.
So, according to Jen, Maddie got ready for bed and went to bed not long after getting home. Which means that Jen could have done the same, right? Because she wasn't working late or anything. She was home. So she had time to get a good night's sleep as well. So why then would she need Stefan to drive Maddie to school in the morning? Why wouldn't she drive her herself? Especially when she told police and signed a sworn statement saying she saw Madeline getting dressed for school at 8 a.m., which was their story, which we now know isn't true. And don't you find it interesting that Jen saw Maddie getting dressed for school, but she didn't say a word to her? No, bye, Maddie, have a good day, or have a good day, Maddie, love you, see you later, I'll see you later when I pick you up. Or even, good morning, Maddie, don't forget your phone. No hug goodbye, nothing. No, she just told police she saw Maddie getting dressed at 8 a.m., Then she told a reporter her last conversation with Maddie was when she last saw her the night before. And that's where the fun starts.
Tell me the statements about the timeline are not consistent.
Jennifer Soto told us last week that the last conversation she had with her daughter was about her 13th birthday party the night before Maddie disappeared.
I told her goodnight, and yeah, that was it.
But according to documents, Sunday night was not the last time Soto saw Maddie. New documents show that Maddie's mom told deputies on February 26th that she saw her daughter getting dressed for school at 8 o'clock that morning, and that her boyfriend then took the teen to school.
Want to know why there's a discrepancy between what she told police and what she told the news? I'll show you.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her goodnight, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
What you just witnessed there, folks, was Jen's deer caught in the headlights surprised look when she was hit with a question she wasn't expecting. Think fast, think fast, think fast. Oh yeah, her party. We talked about her party, and she was so happy, and she had such a great time. Sell, sell, sell. Then I told her goodnight, and yeah, that was it. Phew, that was close, right? Except Jen, not being the brightest bulb, already forgot that she told police just 24 hours or so prior that she last saw Maddie getting dressed for school in the morning. But she was put on the spot, and she reached for the truth she knew, so she said it. Interesting that she didn't even use that opportunity to say that she told Madeline she loved her when she told her goodnight. Nope, just goodnight, and that was it. And why lie about it? She didn't love her, and she couldn't even try to bring herself to say she did. But I believe that night was the last time she spoke with Maddie, because after she ended Maddie's life, right there in their Kissimmee home, Madeline was no longer alive to have a conversation with. And I think a pillow to smother her was probably a really good way to do it, because it would leave no marks that could be traced back to her. Just my opinion, of course.
Tell me how you feel right now.
I feel like I can't breathe.
Which explained the need for Stefan's help that morning. Because how was she going to move Maddie's body out of the apartment alone? And it had to be done while it was still dark outside, because they couldn't do it in the light where people might see. So, I believe, she either woke Stefan up at her place, or called him over, or from wherever the hell he was, and told him he needed to help her move Maddie's body. And don't even think for 1 second I'm taking up for that low-life, twisted, sick POS when I say this. But I think he may have told her no, that he wouldn't help her. Which is why police said he tried to factory reset his phone that day, because Jen threatened him. In my mind, she knew all the sick videos and images he had on his phone, and she knew all she had to do was threaten to tell police about it, adding that he also, as YouTube requires us to say, unalived her daughter. And Stefan panicked and tried to get rid of all the evidence. But he probably couldn't. Or he knew Jen had even more on him, so he helped her move Maddie in the middle of the night. But not before Jen told him what their story was going to be. That he dropped her off at the church an hour before school, watched her walk away, and she just disappeared. Oh, and not before Jen dressed her in the outfit she would later recall dressing her in during her interview. Her school clothes. Hence Jen's statement that she saw Maddie getting dressed that day for school. More partial truth. But where did they move her to? Well, it couldn't have been very far, since police said Stefan was seen on video throwing Maddie's belongings in the dumpster at 7:35 a.m., and then he was again seen on video returning to the apartment complex at 8:19 with Madeline in the car, already deceased. Sounds to me like they moved her out of the apartment during the night and hid her somewhere close by while they decided what to do with her. Then they decided that they had to be able to say she was alive and well in the morning, so police wouldn't suspect that she was unalived in their apartment the night before. So they concocted the story that they dropped her off in the morning at the church, alive and well. So they went and picked her back up from where they hid her in the dark and made sure to drive by the surveillance camera at the apartment complex, which explains Stefan's story that Maddie was sleeping in the car when he drove her to school. Then maybe they thought it would be better to try to hide her somewhere farther away instead, because then that way she might never be found at all. Who knows? But as long as she was already moved out of the apartment, they could move her again if need be. But I don't think it was Jen's original plan to drive her body far away, which is why I think Stefan was caught on video throwing away Maddie's backpack and laptop in the dumpster at their complex. Why would he do something that stupid if he knew he'd be driving her body 22 miles away from their home? Why would he dump her belongings in the dumpster at the apartment complex when he could dump them 22 miles away instead, or anywhere along the way? Makes no sense, other than he was panicked and they had no plan. Now, I'm not saying the guy isn't dumb as a box of rocks. After all, he did walk around with disgusting, illegal images on his phone for God knows how long. But something tells me he threw Maddie's belongings in the dumpster there because they panicked and threw together the plan as they went along, trying to cover all the bases. Which is why I believe they felt they needed proof that Stefan dropped Maddie off at the church that morning. So I think Jen was the person seen on the grainy church video, acting as if she could have been Maddie walking toward the school. Exactly what their story would be. But I wonder how police knew that Maddie was no longer alive when they saw her in Stefan's car that morning. I mean, I can't imagine the surveillance camera captured an up-close and really clear photo of her in his car. And even if it did, or they were able to enhance it to see it well, I wonder why they didn't think she was just sleeping, like Stefan said. Or did they see something on that video that they didn't share? Like, maybe Stefan actually, physically picking Maddie up and moving her body into his car. That would explain how they could be so sure, wouldn't it? And looking back at the police press conference, knowing what we know now, I think we can easily see exactly where we were told that they had video proof that Maddie was deceased days before they even announced it. Here's a clip from the first police press conference announcing that Madeline was missing and police were searching for her, held 2 days after she went missing. Watch the officer's facial expressions and listen to the information he offers when asked if Madeline was actually seen on the video getting out of Stefan's car at the church. He answers the question that they analyzed the video, but it was grainy, so they weren't sure it was Madeline on the video. And he could have stopped there, right? Asked and answered. But he didn't. And what he offered up right after was where he told us what they had.
We've heard there is surveillance video from that church that was given to detectives. Does it show her actually getting out of the car and starting to walk?
So we collected that video, analyzed it, and it's a very, very grainy video, so we're not actually sure if that's Madeline. But we've collected video from other parts of that area too.
Did you see that? It's a grainy video, so we're not sure it's Madeline. Then he tilts his head and shrugs a shoulder like, but it doesn't matter, as he says, but we've collected video from other parts of that area too. and his eyebrows go up like, "Don't think we don't know what happened." Yes, the church video was grainy, but don't worry, we have so much more. 2 days before they announced that they believed she was deceased. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to Stefan and Jen Monday morning. They decide they need some sort of proof that Maddie was alive Monday morning, so they decide to say Stefan dropped her off at the church and sees her walking toward the school. Then they need to make it happen. So Stefan drops Jen off at the church dressed in similar clothing to Maddie, and she hangs around away from the camera for a while, then walks off in the direction of the school. If you haven't seen my last video questioning if it was in fact Jen on that grainy church video, you might want to go and check it out. Just like this video, it's only my opinion, but you may find it interesting. And as I pointed out in that video, Stefan dropping Jen off at the church may also be one of the reasons why she said we dropped her off at the church. Because she was there. Again, more truth. Well, a little, anyway. Because we now know the police say Maddie was never dropped off at the church at all. So they staged their little proof of life video of Maddie being seen at the church, and they're home free to dispose of her body wherever they decide to. And why the early drop-off an hour before school started? Because they needed to give Jen time to hang around in the church parking lot, far enough from the camera to be seen, but not clearly, before the area started getting busy with morning traffic driving by. Because what if someone saw her there? Proof of life blown. So it had to be early, before too much traffic heading to the school started driving by. We didn't get any information from Jen about what she did on that Monday after that, did we? Stefan told police he went to find a vape store after he dropped Maddie off, but he couldn't find an open one that morning, so he went home and went out again later. But we never did get any information about where Jen was all day, until she says she went to the school to pick Maddie up at 4 p.m. and she wasn't there. And she never offers it up in her interviews, does she? We never hear, "After work, I went to pick Maddie up." No, just no explanation at all. Why? Well, even though it's just my opinion, and of course she's innocent until proven guilty, again, Jen doesn't want to lie. So she just doesn't say. But if I had to guess, I'd say she was off with her man 22 miles away, disposing of Maddie's body. And the fact that the person who called in the tip about seeing Stefan changing his tire near the area where Maddie's body was found? How about that for divine intervention, huh? The fact that that person didn't report seeing anyone with Stefan that day doesn't mean anything. Jen could have been in the car, and the person drove by and saw Stefan looking like he was changing his tire and kept driving. It was a few seconds sighting as they drove by. That was it. But thank God they thought to report it, or Maddie's body may never have been found. And I bet police can't verify Jen's whereabouts all day Monday either. Why else do you think they put out the information about Stefan and his vehicle, asking the public if they saw him anywhere between the hours of 1 and 2:30 p.m.?
Right now, our top priority is recovering Madeline. We are still appealing to our community for its help in this case. Please share this crime line bulletin on my right of Stephen Stearns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and 2:30 p.m. in the area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Stearns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything suspicious, we're asking that they call Crime Line.
She already has the tip that he was seen changing his flat tire, and where, because she says it. And if I had to guess, I'd say they probably weren't looking for 100+ more tips that people saw him changing his tire there. I'd guess they were looking for tips that he was seeing other places as well. So they had other places to start searching for Maddie's body. And I also think they were looking for witnesses who saw Jen with him. So, back to Monday. They dispose of precious Madeline's body. Then, Stefan goes off to do whatever the hell he does, and Jen needs to head to Maddie's school and start the show of looking around for her because Maddie's not there. If she even did that at all. I didn't see any interviews with anyone from the school or in that area around the school that day saying that they saw Jen frantically searching for Maddie. Did you? Maybe I just missed them. I mean, she said she searched walking paths and went to her mom's office in case Maddie walked there, but I didn't hear anybody come forward saying, and she was frantically looking for Maddie and calling for her, asking everyone she saw if they saw her. But maybe she did, and just nobody offered to help her or talk to the news about it. You never know. But I did find it interesting that Jen thought Maddie would have no problem finding her grandmother's office because she said she went there to see if Maddie had walked there, but knew Maddie had no clue how to find her way home. But anyway, so she's driving around, frantically looking for Maddie. She drives to her mother's office, no Maddie. So she said she goes back to the school, but conveniently it was closed. So she never ran inside and spoke with anyone in there either. So nobody in the school knew she was frantically searching for her daughter. Then she says she emailed Maddie's teacher, which she could have done from home, and is told that Maddie never arrived at school that day. See, here's my email to her teacher asking if she was in school at all. See, I was looking for her. And then she says in her interview that she called the police around 4:45 p.m. to report Madeline missing. But police make sure to let the public know during their press conference that they received the call from Jen about Maddie missing around 8 p.m. that evening, and they went to meet her at the school to take the missing report.
We filed a missing report. We called the police at like 4:45.
We were called on Monday evening at approximately 8 p.m. Our patrol deputies went out there, met with Madeline's mom at the school near Hunters Creek to take a report on her missing daughter. We also learned that Madeline left her phone at home that day.
Now, Sam's splitting hairs on the 3-hour and 15-minute time difference between their stories. But I'd say the 8 p.m. timeline from police would explain why the school was closed. Nobody in the school spoke with Jen or even knew Maddie was missing, and nobody ever came forward to say that they saw Jen frantically searching for Maddie near the school or on the walking paths she claims she searched. I gotta say, I love how casually he explains that they learned that Madeline had left her phone at home that day and that they received the call from her mother that she was missing at 8 p.m. that evening, as if it's completely normal to wait over 3 hours to report your child missing and without their phone that could possibly trace their whereabouts. No, there's no alarm bells going off here. Interesting. She called police at 4:45 p.m., but she doesn't go off about or even mention that they didn't bother to show up until 8 p.m. Man, she must be like the most understanding person on the planet. 'Cause I'm a little embarrassed to tell you, but if I called police because my child was missing at 4:45 p.m. and they didn't show up like 10 minutes later, my ass would be calling again. And again at 5 o'clock, and at 5:05, and at 5:10, and while I'm on my way to the police department to find out where the hell they are and why they aren't responding to my missing child call. And I'm getting more and more pissed with each passing minute and each phone call. So, come for me in the comments all you want, but if they hadn't responded to me within an hour, my ass is threatening to call the news and report that they don't give a flying F about missing children. And judge me for it all you want, But don't say you wouldn't do the same if your child was missing. The hell, I'm waiting over 3 hours for your happy asses to show up. By then, trust me, you won't want to show up and deal with me. Trust me. But, according to Jen, hey, that's okay, I guess. I mean, doesn't add up, but okay. And why would police meet her at the school if Maddie didn't go missing from the school? I thought she was last seen at the church. I wonder why police would meet her at the school instead. Unless that was where she was when they say they received her call at 8 p.m. Because if she was home, then wouldn't they go to her house to take the report? Interesting. I can't imagine Jen would go to the school, then call the police to meet her there because she didn't want them going to the crime scene, her apartment. Would you? Because then it would look like Jen tried to keep the police away from her apartment. But an innocent person wouldn't have need to do that. Just my twisted brain thinking out loud. So, police meet her at the school over 3 hours after she called them for help, and she told them what happened. Interesting that she doesn't mention that they checked the church where they claim Stefan dropped her off. The last place either one of them saw Maddie that morning. But I guess she probably wouldn't want to go there, just in case anyone recognized her from that morning. Or maybe she didn't mention she searched there because she just didn't, along with everywhere else she didn't search.
I mean, where do you go now? Are you gonna go out there and search or look, or what is are you sticking by the phone? Are what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears.
So, yeah, she didn't bother to search, because her family did it for her. So, while she sat home with her man, just waiting for Maddie to magically appear. But she did make sure her sister got over to the church, though, to find that they had a surveillance camera and discover the video of possibly Maddie in the parking lot that morning that they could run to police with to show them proof that Maddie was dropped off and alive.
We had dropped her off close to the school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. Sorry. That should be it. Sorry about that. We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share.
You can share whatever you feel comfortable sharing. I know you had conversations with detectives. Not sure what that conversation is, but whichever you feel comfortable sharing, that will put the awareness out there.
Yeah, she was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
And with the video that you were able to see whenever your boyfriend dropped her off, where was that? Which video? Was that a surveillance camera?
It was a surveillance camera from the church, Peace Church, right next to Hunters Creek Middle School.
And do you have that video?
I don't have that. They didn't show me. They wouldn't show me. It was actually my sister was the one at location, and they were letting her know what they saw on camera.
Okay.
But they didn't show it to any of us.
Got it. Okay.
So, her daughter, who she believes was abducted on her way to school, is spotted on a security camera moments before she disappears, and they won't show it to her? But it may be her child's last moments here on this earth. And she's not begging to see it. She's not begging them to let her see if it is Maddie or not. She's not needing to see for herself where her child walked off to, or if anyone followed her, or anything. Just, yeah, whatever. They didn't show it to me, so. Damn. She makes me feel like I'd be an absolute frickin' nightmare for police to deal with if Maddie was my missing daughter. Because I would have been losing my damn mind. Unless, of course, I didn't need to see the video, because I already knew what was on it. Then, well, I probably wouldn't care either. Whatever. They discovered it. It served its purpose. But I do have one more question about Jen's timeline that morning.
She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school. But she actually went missing early that morning, around between 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. She went missing.
And I'm sure you know what's coming. How can Maddie have disappeared between 8:45 and 9 a.m. if she was spotted on the church surveillance video getting up and leaving the church parking lot at or right around 9 a.m.? I mean, I know I'm not the smartest person in the room here, but wouldn't Maddie have had to go missing sometime after 9 a.m. when she was seen on the camera? But Jen doesn't even realize what she's saying makes no sense, because she's saying what she practiced saying, and that's all she can think about. Remembering what she's supposed to say. If you pay attention, you can easily see when she's trying to remember what she's supposed to say. She can't do it while looking at the interviewer, so she looks up or down or off to the side and just stares off in that direction while she remembers what to say. Then she looks back at the interviewer, and you can tell how uncomfortable she is lying, because she does two big gulps as she says Maddie was seen leaving the parking lot around 9 a.m. So she can't even give an estimated time that Maddie went missing that makes any sense. But she has no problem letting us know that Maddie forgot her phone that day, so sorry, she can't be tracked.
She, from time to time, she will leave her cell phone at home accidentally, and that's actually what happened yesterday. She left her phone at home. She went to school. But that happens from time to time. She's got ADHD, her memory. She's very forgetful. So yeah, there's no way to track her right now because the detectives don't have her phone. So she left her phone at home, so there's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
Man, Jen can't catch a break. Imagine, the day her child goes missing just happens to be a day that she forgot to take her phone with her, so they can't trace her movements. Now, that's some real crappy luck right there. Damn. Especially considering Maddie was getting dropped off like an hour early that morning. You'd think, being a teen and all, she'd definitely want to take her phone with her that morning to give her something to do while she waited around in that church parking lot for so long. But, as luck would have it, she left it at home. Man, Jen must have been kicking herself for not reminding Maddie to take her phone with her when she saw her dressing for school at 8 a.m., huh? Even though she never mentions it. God, I wish I would have reminded her to take her phone with her. Never heard any of that from her, did we? Even knowing that police might have been able to track her phone to find her. But no. Instead we got, yeah, she forgets her phone from time to time, and geez, that's actually what happened on the day she disappeared. Shocker. Because she has ADHD. And, as she laughs a bit, she says, she's just so forgetful. Oh, how cute. Yeah. except for the fact that your child is missing, and you said you believed she was abducted, and she doesn't have her phone. So she can't call or text for help, and she can't be tracked because of it. But yes, I can see how she'd find Maddie's forgetfulness under those circumstances so funny. Even though I find the real funny part to be Jen's forgetfulness, since she keeps forgetting that she's supposed to be playing the part of a worried, scared sick mother who fears her daughter she loves was abducted less than 24 hours before. Hell, she couldn't even remember that she already told police she saw Maddie dressing for school at 8 a.m. and told an interviewer that she last saw Maddie the night before. If you ask me, Jen's the real joke here. And when she did her 2 interviews less than 24 hours after reporting Maddie missing, she didn't appear to have been emotional or crying at all to me. She didn't appear to be exhausted from no sleep the night before. Nothing. She looked absolutely fine. Well rested, unemotional, no red eyes. Hell, I'd look like I'd been hit by a Mack truck, I'm sure. But not Jen. Less than 24 hours after reporting Maddie missing, she looks absolutely fine. Rested, and she smiles and laughs here and there. Nothing near the behavior I'd expect to see from a desperate, worried parent. But we did get to see her loving on her man as part of their interview clips, didn't we? Now that was cute. Or creepy. Now that she's Stefan's number one. And Maddie's, how'd she put it?
Okay,
She
so
just turned 13.
but that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday and then the very next day,
She's
that's the
gone.
last.
Oh yeah, gone. Gosh, I wonder what she was thinking about with that long stare while she was hugging him. So, as everyone but Jen and her man searched for Maddie all day Tuesday, Jen gave interviews that gave her away over and over again, which I'm sure police found as beautiful as I did, while they were going through her man's phone, gathering videos with Stefan moving Maddie's body, and retrieving her backpack and laptop out of the dumpster. No alarm bells going off there. Let him keep talking. Then we get the police press conference 2 days later, announcing that Maddie's missing and asking the public to help find her. The same press conference where Orange County Sheriff John Mina said they had more videos than just the grainy video from the church, and revealed with his shoulder shrug and raised eyebrows that they had so much more than he was going to reveal. And that night, just before 10 p.m., we got the news that Stefan Stearns was arrested and named the prime suspect in Madeline's disappearance.
You are looking at video of Stefan Stearns, who has just been arrested.
Even though I believe on the day Stefan was arrested, they already knew Madeline was deceased. But Stefan lawyered up and refused to talk. So, police decided to go to Jen instead. Damn, I wasn't kidding when I said that chick can't catch a break. She does all this to finally get her man all to herself, and bam, police go and take him away. Of course, for the umpteenth time. This is all just my opinion. But I gotta say, I found it very interesting that police went to Jen before Madeline was even found to tell her that they were confident that Madeline was deceased. I would imagine they'd need to have some serious evidence in order to go to Jen and say they were confident before they even found her.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time and that Stefan Stearns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day. We have video evidence that shows Stefan Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster. At 8:19, we have evidence that shows Stephen Stearns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time.
I wonder if they felt they needed to tell her quickly because she was Maddie's mother? Or if they just wanted to see her reaction. I say that because I think they wanted to see Jen's reaction to the news after she probably thought they were in the clear and Maddie was not going to be found. So, she wouldn't expect the police to show up on her doorstep with such devastating news. But they did anyway, to catch her off guard. 'Cause, think about it, her boyfriend was just arrested the day before and named the prime suspect in her daughter's disappearance. A huge blow. Then, maybe they told her about all the evidence they found on his phone. Another huge blow. Right? So why run to her to hit her with a third life-altering blow instead of waiting until they found Madeline? I mean, they already had the tip that Stefan was seen out in the area 22 miles from their home, so they were already searching out there. Why not just wait a day or two to see if she was found first? I mean, I don't know. Were they required to tell her at that time? Or was it a strategic play on their part to surprise her and get her reaction? Maybe hoping she'd freak out with fear that they knew what happened and she'd tell them where they put Maddie. Because they already knew Maddie was unalived in their apartment and Stefan moved Maddie's body during the night. And maybe they saw Jen with him on the videos. So, the reporter asked if they believe Maddie was unalived at the house, and Sheriff Mina is careful to answer that they believe she was unalived in Kissimmee, where their apartment is, while nodding his head yes while answering the question.
Sheriff, do we believe that I know that you're piecing things together with different portions of video. Is it the department's belief that she was killed at the house?
It's our belief that she was killed in Kissimmee and that he moved her body.
So, if they believe Maddie was unalived at her home in Kissimmee on Sunday night, then who was home with her that night?
I told her good night, and yeah, that was it.
Well, there you have it, folks. My opinion. Which with probably about $7 will get me a nice fancy drink at Starbucks. But, I don't know. I don't drink Starbucks. And as I've said before, I don't know much else about nothing either. So really and honestly, I could be altogether, completely wrong.
had a birthday party on Sunday. I couldn't make it because I was working.
She's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, she had the best day. There was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that.
I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I feel like I can't breathe. We had dropped her off close to the school.
Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school.
That should be it. Sorry about that. We dropped her off at school, close to school. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner.
We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church.
Yeah, she was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. But she actually went missing early that morning, around between 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. She went missing.
But that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday, and then the very next day, that's
gone.
the last you've seen of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the video that you were able to see whenever your boyfriend dropped her off, where was that? Which video? Was that a surveillance camera?
It was a surveillance camera from the church, Peace Church, right next to Hunters Creek Middle School.
And do you have that video?
I don't have that. They didn't show me. They wouldn't show me. It was actually my sister was the one at location, and they were letting her know what they saw on camera.
Okay.
But they didn't show it to any of us.
Got it. Okay.
Sheriff, we've heard there is surveillance video from that church that was given to detectives. Does it show her actually getting out of the car and starting to walk?
So we collected that video, analyzed it, and it's a very, very grainy video, so we're not actually sure if that's Madeline. But we've collected video from other parts of that area too.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday.
Jennifer Soto told us last week that the last conversation she had with her daughter was about her 13th birthday party the night before Maddie disappeared.
I told her good night, and yeah, that was it.
But according to documents, Sunday night was not the last time Soto saw Maddie. New documents show that Maddie's mom told deputies on February 26th that she saw her daughter getting dressed for school at 8 o'clock that morning, and that her boyfriend then took the teen to school. But since that initial report was taken, we learned from the Orange County Sheriff that Maddie was likely dead earlier than that.
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to share. In my heart, I feel like somebody took her. We filed a missing report. We called the police at like 4:45.
So we were called on Monday evening at approximately 8 p.m. Our patrol deputies went out there, met with Madeline's mom at the school near Hunters Creek to take a report on her missing daughter. And so we also learned that Madeline left her phone at home that day.
So she left her phone at home, so there's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
That happens from time to time. She's got ADHD, her memory. She's very forgetful. So yeah, there's no way to track her right now because from time to time, she will leave her cell phone at home accidentally, and that's actually what happened yesterday. She left her phone at home.
They're going into the woods to search for her, but I don't feel like that's gonna find anything right now.
I mean, where do you go now? Are you going to go out there and search or look, or what are you sticking by the phone? Are you what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears.
We've looked everywhere we could have thought, and anywhere she would have been.
What was she wearing?
She was last seen wearing a green hoodie.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off on the morning of February 26th near her school.
Stearns voluntarily handing over his phone stated he accidentally factory reset the device the day Soto went missing.
You are looking at video of Stefan Stearns, who has just been arrested.
There's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
We have video evidence that shows Stefan Stearns discarding items in a dumpster in that apartment complex in Kissimmee at 7:35 on Monday, February 26th. Detectives later recovered Madeline's backpack and her school-issued laptop from that dumpster.
But she actually went missing early that morning, around between 8:45 and 9 o'clock in the morning. She went missing.
At 8:19, we have evidence that shows Stefan Stearns returning to the complex, and Madeline was visible in that vehicle. We believe she was already dead at that time.
We dropped her off at school, close to school.
Is it the department's belief that she was killed at the house?
It's our belief that she was killed in Kissimmee.
I just want her back, whatever that means. Just
We believe he moved her body in those early morning hours.
there's no way to trace her.
Is the mother a suspect or a person of interest in this investigation? And also with the videos that you uncovered, is there any evidence of the mother's involvement on any of these videos?
So everyone that was close to Madeline is considered suspect until we have proven otherwise.
But I don't feel like that's gonna find anything. Right? She's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was.
No, it appears that this all was isolated to the home.
She had the best day. She was so happy. She showed us all her gifts.
March 1st, we received information placing Stern's vehicle in a rural area of St. Cloud, where ultimately Madeline's body was discovered.
I told her good night, and yeah, that was it.
That is correct. It is transitioned to a homicide investigation, and
We dropped her off at school, close to school. Yeah, she was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras.
We have to, keep things close until such time as we hold those accountable for her death.
It's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday and then the very next day, that's
gone.
the last you've seen of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you still feel like you have more questions than answers at this point?
I think our questions are being answered slowly but surely.
Is there anything that you think our viewers would need to know about the way you're feeling, the way the family's feeling, Madeline?
We are desperate for any answers, anything that you could do to help. I'm here for it. Just please, if I feel like I can't breathe.